right? But coming back to a point that Ned made earlier, but I'd like Jerry to kind of give his opinion on this. Is what would be the three things that you would say in terms of ethics, right? Three areas that you probably need to look out for around the ethics of using AI.
Generally, or specifically for legal?
Specifically for legal.
I think I know Ned touched on them, but first, and this is an overarching area, we are as lawyers subject to rules of professional conduct. And, for any of these systems, just like you would have anybody else who's working for you, you have to supervise their work. And I think that's the number one thing people forget, and that's where lawyers, especially those who are not as tech savvy, are struggling, because we did get used to, you put a question in Google, Google gives you an answer that is correct. Well, that's not true, and it hasn't been true for a while. It's even less true with some of these new AI systems like Google Bard, ChatGPT, where they do hallucinate. Now, with specific reference to Bard and to Bing's, Microsoft Bing's AI, they do provide sources that you can go and look at, but even there, it's trying to answer your question, but it may not actually know what you're looking for. So you have to actually understand, at least at a basic level, that these AI systems have to be supervised, that you need to make sure that if you're a lawyer and you're purchasing one, how is it displaying the information to you? Is it giving you just the answer is this is the answer, or is it telling you this is the answer because I found this, and this in document 1, and this, and this in document 2?
So I think you're making the distinction between supervised and unsupervised, and you need to make sure that it's supervised.
Right. I mean, it would be like a paralegal or a junior associate. I've been treating, so our product Leah, I'm treating almost as a junior associate, where I want to review the work to make sure it's correct, even though we know we're getting the right answer most of the time. I'm not going to go and say, this is absolutely correct, I'm not looking at it. I'm absolutely looking at everything, but I'm saving the time, as James was going. The efficiency savings may be that this would have taken me 3 hours to do by myself, but now I'm able to target it and do it in an hour and a half or a shorter amount of time, meaning I have more time for that.
So supervision is one.
Supervision's one. The second one is being aware of cybersecurity.
Okay.
I mean, I'm talking about specific to legal.
Sure.
Again.
Yeah.
Because we could talk about bias, we could talk about anything else, but cybersecurity, I practice in New York, so there's now an explicit obligation for lawyers in New York to take cybersecurity classes, to understand where data goes when you do it, because frankly, you send something out via email and you just attach something. Well, is that going to an outside system? Is it encrypted? If you're using Box or you're using Google Drive, did you accidentally turn on share my files and now you're sharing all your files, including client files, with the public world? So I think the second one is being awareness of cybersecurity and understanding how these systems and understanding how that works. And then I think for me, the third one is, they all kind of tie together. Understanding the system, understanding how the data is presented, and that, understanding cybersecurity. And then I think
maybe bias?
I was going to say,
or weeding out for bias?
I think bias is important and the example I was using, actually I have a good example, because if you ask, and a little bit of this has been changed, but if you ask a public system like ChatGPT to prepare bylaws, let's say, draft me a set of bylaws for a brand new LLC. A few weeks ago, I tested this with draft me a set of bylaws for a new LLC and draft me a set of bylaws for a Black American-owned LLC. And it presented me with two separate sets of bylaws. one that talked more about, one that was more like a traditional Delaware set, and then one that talked more about criminality, which is actually inherent bias in the system. Now that bias isn't coming there because the system is biased. The bias is coming there because humans are biased. So when you're shopping for these systems, you want to make sure that you are actually looking and asking the developers of these systems, what are they doing to avoid bias? What are they putting in place to cut this out? Because you don't want that.